And I said, honey, I may look dead on the outside, but I'm a juicy queen on the inside. Now, oh, hi there. Sorry about that. Didn't see you. Welcome back to another Cold Blood and Cocktails. As I'm sure you wonderful people already know, any tiff you may have, please cast it away because this is a channel of positive energy. Okay? Okay. Oh, my little coffin hoppers, how you doing today? I hope wherever you're at in the world, you're having a great day so far. I myself am doing wonderful. I love this outfit. I haven't filmed for like over a month. It feels so good to be back in front of the camera, at least with clothes on. No, but really, how the hell have you been? I have had my new little series going. It doesn't really have much murder, but it is mystery. How have we liked that? Have you seen it? I do love telling those stories, but nothing beats a murder mystery. It's just the psychology behind it that really gets me going. People are fucked up. But what isn't fucked up is this wig. I love it. I've shown her a few times on here. She's a versatile hoe. And I think who makes it may have made RuPaul's wigs. So I'm really trying to get my money's worth out of this. Anyways, what is today's story about? The Black Widow. Well, one of the Black Widows. I feel like that's a nickname for like 50 different killers out there. So maybe next Black Widow I'll be a spider. But before we get dick deep into this, cheers to you, my loves. I thought this look just screamed dirty martini. Although one thing I do want is my lips to be a little bit more red. Hold on, they're just a little bit too muted for me. And Nady with muted, those two words don't go together. Anyways, my loves, cheers to you and cheers to this being a home that's welcome to everyone, no matter who you are, no matter where you came from, no matter what you believe. This is a place where we can put all of our differences aside and just come together as one. And that to me is beautiful. So cheers to that. Hold on, is my lipstick dry? Ooh, shit, these lips feel like sandpaper. Okay, fabuloso. I don't know if it's me turning into an old man, but I am certainly loving my dirty martinis and like a whiskey. Oh, that just gets my rocks off. Here I am clutching my pearls saying I'm a man that loves whiskey. Oh, pshaw, honey. Oh God, there's a bug. I was gone for a month and I came back home and my place was infested with fruit flies. Damn. Okay, anyways, let's shut the fuck up and get into this story. And you heard me right. Normally I wouldn't say a story, I would say a case because that's disrespectful. This story, it's especially juicy because Vera, much like my heterosexual era, may not have actually ever existed. Vera is our main lady, and this is just one of those cases that may simply be a story which over 100 years just snowballed into what it is today. Yet, despite the fact that there's really no proof that she ever existed, she's still labeled as possibly the most prolific serial killer of the 20th century. Imagine that, not even being real, yet you still dominate the charts. It's like that AI Drake song. Well, who is this widowed wildebeest anyways? Why, Vera Rensky, Vera, aka the Black Widow. And I think the reason why so many people want this lady to be real is one, because in a male-dominated industry such as serial killing, a female serial killer is somewhat rare. And two, even though she's an absolute for sure crazy lunatic, she was almost a badass boss for other women to look up to. I don't mean to say people are really condoning what she did, because if what the fuck she did was true, oh my God, the lady was evil as hell. But when so many females around that time were just unhappy, they were secretly kind of like, yes, you psycho bitch, get him! But again, my people, this is not good shit. We do not praise a serial killer. I am so sorry if the camera moved a tiny bit, I had to switch memory cards. But let's go over what we do know about this, even though pretty much all of it is more hearsay than anything. It's kind of like playing the game telephone where it starts off saying I'm stuck on a dock and then the last person hears I'm sucking a... You get the point. But according to some, Vera was born in like 1903 in Bucharest, but if you look at the timeline of her crimes, it's more likely that she was probably born around the late 1800s, unless she was a toddler when she started killing, which we've heard crazier things on here, so maybe. But she was born into a rich-ass family and one of those kind of rich people where they had walk-in closets full of custom horsehair corsets. They had handmade shoes, maids who would do anything from braid your hair to wax it, and a bed stuffed with fur from the finest endangered animals. Living it up, yo. Just a lovely little upbringing she had. And what a lovely little lady she was, too. Voluptuous in all the right places, curvy, supple, soft, but a very early bloomer and a very sensual young gal. Before she was even a teenager, her hormonies were just running wild and her parents tried everything to tame her. They'd tighten her corset so she'd focus on breathing rather than boys. They gave her a spiked chastity belt, which she ended up liking, and every day for an hour and a half she'd have to sit on an ice pack. And nothing would work, just one look at a boy with her moody green eyes and oh honey, she could melt him into clarified duck butter. You go, girl. She knew this and she loved it. In fact, her sensual feelings only seemed to grow as she approached her teen years, and by the time she was 13, mean, she was wearing big hoops, and you know what they say about big hoops. Girl had hula hoops on her lobes. But despite being surrounded by caviar and opulence, her first year as a teenager was honestly a fairly difficult one. Her mom had suddenly passed away, and this was well over 100 years ago, so she'd probably stubbed her toe, and that's what took her out. But regardless, Vera and her daddy-o ended up selling their mansion, and they moved to Serbia, where she attended a luxury boarding school. Nothing that an average peasant would go to. I am an average peasant. She was given the best of everything from clothes down to her education, but none of that really could fill the void of not having a mother. And the only way she knew how to cope with the loss was by chasing boys. Same girl, same. And then by the time she was 15, the school was like, screw you, girl, we are washing our hands of you. They just couldn't handle Vera anymore, and she was sent home to be with her dad. She'd been caught in the boys' locker room 3 times. She was making out with a teacher's aide. She'd mysteriously left her underwear in 3 senior boys' lockers, and the only thing she had written in any of her notebooks was, I heart so-and-so. I mean, I'm a little bit scared that some of this is relatable. But her dad couldn't really manage her anymore. I mean, you can't tame a wild horse. Well, actually, that's a lie. You totally can, but I also feel like if Vera had maybe had a good therapist, she could have been tamed too. But her dad would call her to dinner and see a neighbor boy sliding down the drain pipe from her window, and this went against his no boy in the bedroom policy, damn it. Like, golly, kids, at least keep the door open so I can make sure you're studying algebra and not biology. Jeez. He just didn't know what the hell to do with her. And when he did finally put his foot down, she walked out of that house with both fingers in the air and ended up running away. Also, I learned from Kathy Griffin that you have to use the wrong finger to flip them off. Otherwise, we'll get demonetized. She'd find an older boy to take her away from all of her troubles, and when that new dish got cold, she'd show up on Daddy's doorstep with little kitten eyes. Please, Daddy, I'm so sorry. This whole running away and showing up shit happened almost on the weekly, but deep down, all she wanted was male companionship. Even though her dad just loved her to bits, it's almost like she had daddy issues. In fact, Vera's early childhood friends would describe her as having a pathological desire for constant male companionship, which I actually have some family members who are like that. It doesn't matter who the fuck they're dating as long as they're dating someone and not alone. They could be dating a tired dressed as a lumberjack for all they care. At least it's a body in the bed. Her friends also said she was weirdly possessive, jealous, and constantly suspicious of the stupidest shit. Like, Jenny, you're wearing the same color hair ribbon as my boyfriend's shirt. Did you two hook up? And Jenny would be like, girl, no, calm your tits, you maniac. It's a damn hair ribbon. Being a suspicious fishy really got in the way of literally every relationship Vera had, even the good ones. She'd show up at her boyfriend's house at all hours of the morning to make sure there wasn't another girl over. She'd even stake out the guys at work. There ain't a person in the world that likes a clingy babe, but it was all she knew. Like, in her mind, that was totally cool and acceptable. Till finally, she snagged some poor sucker to marry, but he was more than twice her age. Which, there is nothing wrong with an age gap. We love a MILF or a DILF moment. But she did always seem to go for way older men, even as a teenager. For her, the guy's age had to be like double or nothing, baby, and maybe it was just a stability thing. I don't know. I'm not here to judge, but I mean, love has no age, but to be like 15 and dating a 50-year-old, no. Well, the wedding bells chimed, the rice was thrown down the cleavage, and the cans on the back of the car clanked, all before her 20th birthday. This hunky granddaddy was a rich as shit Australian banker named Carl who really did take care of Vera. They had a bebe together named Lorenzo, and Carl was like, look, honey, you never have to work a day in your life, okay? Just take care of Lorenzo, chill at home, I'll bring home the bacon and give you the sausage. And she was like, yay, this is gonna be perfect. And it was, until her suspicious ass almost immediately thought he was cheating on her. He'd come home smelling like perfume that wasn't Vera's, and she'd fly into a jealous rage. And not even the kind of rage that would end in good coitusy schmoitusy. She would be pissed for days, even weeks. Was this perfume most likely the fragrance from his dry cleaning solvent? Probably, but Vera did have a history of making a meatloaf out of a meatball. And it all came crashing to an end when one night out of the blue, Carl up and left her and Lorenzo. My goodness, she gasped, you're leaving me, it should be me leaving you. She wasn't even 100% certain that he was cheating, but now it must be true, and he must be leaving Vera for a new broad. Immediately, she started making the rounds, telling all her friends and family and neighbors that he was a lying, cheating son of a bitch who abandoned her, found a new girl, and left his own kid. What the hell? That bastard, they'd all say. Men are just pigs. A fine specimen such as yourself deserves a loyal companion who'd lick your toes and wash your hose. So everyone would bring her casseroles, teas, cakes, all the usual morning foods for like an entire year. And after that full year of fabulous black attire, what do you know? She just happened to get a letter in the mail with word that her estranged husbando had died in a car crash. Everyone around her once again cooked up casseroles and brought them to her because this was just a damn tragedy for her and Lorenzo. Like, if leaving wasn't bad enough, now Lorenzo for sure as shit would never see his dad again. No worries though, because Vera would soon find Lorenzo a new stepdad and herself a new daddy, except this time her new man was actually close-ish to her age. Strong emphasis on the ish. Like they were born within the same 25 years, which was something new for her. But this relationship was a circus roller coaster, you know, the kind that isn't quite put together, it's missing a few nuts and bolts. Most of those loose bolts came from Vera, who once again assumed that her new man's was involved in some other woman's nether regions. Girl just has really bad trust issues. And after not even like 6 months of marriage to this new man, he mysteriously vanished just like Carl had. Suspicious shot for that one. Whew, his olive is stuffed with garlic. Could smell a burp a mile away. Vera was now telling everyone once again that this new man had left her for another woman, which people were starting to wonder if maybe she had teeth in her hoo-ha, because how could someone as gorgeous and lovely as herself have all these men go astray? Like, it just didn't make sense. She was a nice person. Time to pull out that trunk of black clothes from under the bed again and make the rounds. She milked this breakup for yet another year, which I'm sure by now she was so fucking sick of casseroles. And just like clockwork, after that 1 year mark, she started telling everyone she'd gotten a letter from her husband saying, "Oh, baby, I always loved you, but I always knew I'd leave you." Blah, blah, blah. Once again, she'd lost a lover who let his teeny weeny do the talking and went astray. All the neighbors took out their casserole dishes once again, but she said, "Nope, no, I'm good. How about in lieu of food, you send me some money? Like, mama's got to take care of this big-ass mansion and a kid all by myself." And that was the last marriage she ever had. Cheers to that, queen. However, remember all of those times she had thought her husbands and partners had been cheating? Well, this crazy loon went on a sucking and fucking rampage, helping every John, Joe, and Jeremy have affairs with their wives. Sometimes the relationships were open, so it really wasn't that big of a deal, but other times she opened that close relationship real wide and split that bitch apart. A black widow of marriages she was, and she had no shame. The men came from all around too, giggity. Some were prominent, affluent politicians, others were nobodies that just wanted a side of coleslaw with their bucket of chicken. But no matter who they were, after a few ring around the rosies with Vera, the men would mysteriously vanish. It was like they'd been asked to pay child support, damn. But for real, some of the men, even after just a couple of days, poof, they were gone, leaving her for other women apparently. And with the men that she was openly having an affair with, she'd uncork a bottle of wine and run around town telling everyone the most extravagant tales of where they disappeared to. Oh, Jonathan and his hussy went to Hawaii to elope. Bob and that bimbo went to Paris and just left me. They always abandoned her or were unfaithful, which, I mean, Pot, have you met Kettle? She was literally the queen of helping men cheat. But either way, everyone felt so bad for her and thought she just had the worst luck ever with men. Did she need to work on her blowy game? Did she snore? People could not figure out why nobody wanted to stay with Vera. Well, Miss Thing, the jig was about to be up, because Vera's latest lover, a bank officer, hadn't come home to his wife last night, and she was pissed. She'd spent $3 whole on a rack of ribs for their dinner and now was basically dry as dog food from waiting. The wife immediately reported Milo missing to the cops, but they were like, "Tough shit, lady, you probably left your ass for some young trick." Wrong thing to say, because this woman was on a mission and you did not want to get in her way. She was like, "Well, fine, fuck you too then, I'll find him myself." And the wife only had to dig through a centimeter of dirt to realize that Vera had been screwing her milkman. I guess that's what the wife called Milo in bed. But she went back to the police and was like, "Ha, look, there was something fishy going on, you little bitches." So the police went to Vera's house to do a little snooping around. Vera was quick to admit that, yeah, your hubby and I were raw dogging it every Wednesday and Saturday for a while, but he'd cut it off ages ago. The wife was like, "What the actual fuck? Yeah, right. Milo's never given up a good piece of ass in his life and he'd never say no to you." The wife was like, "I recognize the perfume you're wearing and he smelled just like that the last time I saw him." But the cops, who were just smitten by Vera's breasticles and beauty, were like, "Okay, sounds good to me. See you later, ma'am. Have a beautiful day. Beautiful day." The poor wife left in a huffle of a puff and once again said, "Fuck you" to the police. She'd do this investigation herself. And the next day when she went to the station, she started demanding answers to the questions that honestly should have been asked months, if not years ago. Like, where in the fresh hell was her husband? And what in the actual factual fuck happened to all the gentlemen callers that would frequent Vera's house? The ones that mysteriously disappeared and apparently left her for another woman? She was like, "Just look at this broad. Ain't nobody leaving them titties." So the policemen stopped scratching their sacks for a second and think, "You know what, Miss Thing? You kind of have a point." Boom, don't mess with a strong female, damn it, they run the world. Off the cops marched back to Vera's house, except this time Vera denied all up and down that she and Milo were ever lovers. Which they all knew was utter garbage, because just the day before she'd bragged about riding Milo like a steed into the sunset. Within minutes, the wife pops into Vera's house totally out of breath and says, look what I found underneath Milo's side of the mattress, a letter." And this wasn't just any letter either, honey. This was the knife to the heart, the dagger to the eye, the nail, and Vera's coffin coffin, a love letter signed by Vera to Milo. So they get a search warrant to search every inch of Vera's house, and what the hell is this suspiciousness? Well, the dining room table was on little itty bitty wheels, and when it was moved to the side and the rug pulled up, there seemed to be a big ass door. Suspicious shot, anyone? The investigators draw straws to go down there because, as we could all understand, who the fuck would want to? They finally open it and were met with a very distinctive sour smell. With hankies over their mouths, the investigators descend down the stairs that had a slide next to them. They're like, ooh, that's kind of fun, but also weird. And baby, once they got down there, they found something worse than what any of them could have imagined. It was a large circular room with a deep scarlet chair. Ah! Well, no, that's not scary, but that's also not all there was. There was the squishy red recliner, but it was surrounded by those big church candles with empty champagne bottles scattered on the floor. But the recliner and candles were all facing what seemed to be a stage of coffins, all placed on top of each other in like a half moon. 35 of them, all which seemed to be lined with zinc, which I guess helps preserve the body even for decades, which is why it only smelled a little sour, not like full-blown rotten ass. Vera stood atop the bunker door and was like, hey guys, you know, don't even worry about those, okay? Those are just my family members. I had a lot of cousins, so you can come back up for some lemonade, okay? The cops took the lemonade, but they didn't believe her story for a damn minute, and they insisted on opening each one of the caskets. And what do you know? The first casket they opened belonged to Milo, a cousin of Vera's. I think the fuck not. The next coffin had another man in it, and so did the next and the next. And Milo's wife had seen several of these men around town with Vera, so they all knew these were her old lovers. Vera was immediately arrested and questioned. And it didn't take long for Vera to start breaking down either. This had all started with her first husband. She swore all up and down that his ass was cheating, even though everyone that knew him said how loyal he was to her and so in love. But she was a bit psychotic, and her mistrustful self went into a jealous frenzy, and it was literally over nothing. But Vera didn't see it that way, so one evening while making dinner, she rummaged around the cupboards looking for a little something special to add to Carl's wine. Not like fruit to make him sangria or something, I'm talking straight up arsenic. And oop, looky, here's some, so she gave him a heaping teaspoon of it. You know, to help bring out the oak notes of his wine and totally not to kill him, of course. The next boyfriend, she thought he was sticking it to someone else too, and ooh, yum, arsenic pie. Every man she was ever with, she suspected they were cheating even if they weren't. Obviously, the married men were cheating, but she expected them to become a stable figure in her life and treat her how she wanted to be treated. None of them really did that for her, so within a few months, she'd poisoned them too. But these men did seem to leave some kind of lasting impression on her, because one of her favorite pastimes wasn't, you know, to do needlework or gab at a book club. It was to sit in her red chair with her candles lit and drink glasses of champagne with her dead exes to reminisce. Which is creepy. And also very sad, because all during her trial, she began showing signs of dementia. She'd stand towards the wall just conversing with the ghosts of her exes and get angry and then start crying or laughing. It was like something inside her just snapped and she wasn't fully there. And then after she'd been convicted, her symptoms only got increasingly worse. Like for hours, she'd be screaming obscenities to people that only she could see, and it got so bad that she'd end up in restraints. She did end up dying around 1960, and she was only 56-ish, so her mental stability had been really askew from quite a young age, because that's not very old. In fact, it kind of makes you wonder if she'd been born with a mental disorder that was causing her to think this way. But after numerous interviews with psychologists, the only reason anyone could find for Vera killing was simply that she was looking for love. How interesting and sad, right? Like all those people died literally for no reason. But I do also wonder how much of this was real, and if she ever even existed. Like, what do you think? Was Vera's case real or just a fable? I'd like to think this was just a fable, because like 35 families were destroyed after this, all the mothers and parents and wives and just like everything, reduced to being killed for no damn reason. But we've taken a look at the world and we know how crazy people are, so honestly I wouldn't be surprised either way. But my loves, thank you so much for being here. I love having you. And please, especially after listening to something dark like this, don't forget to smile and just be happy. Just one smile can change somebody's entire day, and it doesn't cost you a damn thing. And you know my spiel. If you want a little bit more me in your life, head over to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/poplux. You get videos a day early, you get Patreon only content, and best part, it is cheap, fun, and fancy, just like me. And don't forget my newest Repop collection is available at repopcosmetics.com. Comment down below, let me know what you thought of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at officialnady, and you can follow me online at thepoplux.com. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I will see you again soon. Bye!